Alrighty, and then I'm gonna share my. Uh, all right, so let me just adjust myself here for 1 second, please. Okay, so today's subject is about reclaim your power. I would like to have some introduction about myself. My name is Esther Alawi. So I'm an intuitive spiritual person, and I'm a Kundalini woman. Um, I'm devoted to leading others into profound healing, clarity, and self realization. And my work is just about transformation. It's about remembers returning you to the truth of you, who you are. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm an energy medicine practitioner as well, and transformational life spiritual advisor. And I'm specialized in past life regression healing practitioner. And I facilitate deep subconscious transformation, helping you release limiting patterns and embody lasting change through holistic integrative methods. So this is like about who I am. And now we're gonna start with the introduction. So today's subject, as I mentioned, is reclaiming your own power. Everyone wants change, right? We all do. I never met anybody does not want to change. Now, this is the question: is how you are approaching for that change. This is what makes different, actually, because everyone wants change, but few understand how change happens. So, in this session, um, I want to talk about if you really ever felt emotionally drained, overwhelmed, or like your energy is being pulled into many directions. So I want to maybe to take a moment and think about this question and see if you're that kind of person. Maybe you have felt that way, emotionally drained, overwhelmed, or like your energy is being pulled from you. So in this powering live webinar, you will learn how to recognize where your energy is being leaked and how you to gently but powerfully take it back. This is not about a control at all or resistance. It's really about awareness, alignment, and returning to your natural states of inner strength and calm. So, in this session, you will discover the hidden ways you unconsciously give away your energy, how to recognize energy drains in people, thoughts, and habits, simple tools to protect you and mental space, how to rebuild strong inner boundaries without guilt, a life-guided experience to reconnect with your personal power. Now, this webinar is for you if you feel exhausted after interactions with people, or maybe often overgive, overthink, or overexplain, or maybe you struggle to say no without guilt. Maybe you feel emotionally affected by others easily, or you want to feel more grounded, centered, and confident. So, what you will leave with a stronger sense of clarity, emotional balance, and practical tools to immediately reclaim your energy and feel more in control of your state. Now, what does reclaiming your power means? So, reclaiming the power means recognizing that no one else holds authority over your worth, your emotions, or your path, and consciously choosing to take that authority back. Reclaiming your power means shifting from reaction to intention and taking responsibility for your own thoughts, patterns, and behaviors instead of feeling controlled by them. So instead of feeling controlled by your emotions mainly or your thoughts, you're going to be, and you should be maybe, the one who's controlling those kind of patterns, your behavior and your thoughts. So I want you please to take a moment and take a breath, maybe, and close your eyes and connect with yourself and try to calm your thoughts. Maybe you will be able for this little moment to connect with your own self. Maybe breathe in and breathe out. This is something very simple to do. Yeah, just like that. So now you can open your eyes. And I hope everybody did this little exercise and felt a little bit calmer. So reclaiming your power, it's not about becoming someone new. This is something I hear a lot, by the way, which is this is not the right thing. It's really, we don't become a new one as much as for us to go back and return to who we are truly, who we are. So reclaiming your power is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you truly are, the real you. It's about returning to whom you truly are before fear, conditioning, or life experiences ask you to shrink, maybe, silence yourself, maybe, or disconnect from your own truth, the real who you are, down beneath, inside, within. So many of us, often without realizing or realizing it, they give their power away. So we give it away how do we give the power away? When we seek constant validation from others. If a person is really cannot validate his own self and is always looking out for others to validate him or her, this is a big sign that you are within that kind of draining your own power and your own energy. If you stay in situation that does not or don't honor you or us, so if you are in kind of that situation on that place, maybe sometimes, and you feel not comfortable or you feel you don't belong in there and you feel not good about it, but you're still in there because you're there for others, just because maybe you're embarrassed to leave, or maybe you're shy to say, I don't want to be here. So this is also a sign that you are um, also giving away your power. Silence our needs to keep the peace. When we don't say no, when we don't fight for our right? And we choose to silence and like not make any sound and just go with the flow. Well, going with the flow is something very nice, by the way, guys, but not in this way. Surrendering, what I meant, is totally something different because some people also I found they do mix and misunderstand between surrendering to the journey and silence their needs and not stood up for themselves. Okay, let past experiences also define our present identity. So also our traumas and our past experiences, to let those experiences define who we are at this moment. This is something also, it's a big sign for reclaiming and for draining our energy. So over time, this creates a sense of disconnection from our voice, our intuition mainly, and our inner authority. So, in this space, reclaiming your power means four things. Number one, I always say awareness comes on the top of the list. If no awareness, no change. Everything starts from awareness. So, noticing where you've been operating from fear, habit, or external influence. That is going to help you really by having the awareness, the change will start. Second, taking responsibility. So if a person will not take the responsibility for that change, it was never going to happen. So gently owning your choices, patterns, and emotional responses without a shame. Shame, it's a big thing in our societies, in cultures, I found. And this is a kind of a part of the system that we have been manipulated with, honestly. Also, this is something related to some kind of traumas that we tap and we connect to still going on in our subconscious. That is a big issue, by the way. I found why there is no need for us to be ashamed. There's nothing for us to be ashamed about, you know? Also, choices. Recognizing that in every moment you have the ability to respond differently. So you do have a choice to choose what you want to do. Recognizing that you have the choice, this is something also, it will help you a lot in order to take back your own power. Reconnection, by doing the right connections, returning to your inner voice, reconnecting with your own inner voice, your own intuition, and your own truth. This is how the change will happen, and you will be able to reclaim your power. Now, what does energy leakage actually means? I wanted to give some kind of good explanation for you guys in here about the leakages, about how we do um, like, you know, lose our energy, uh, give the energy away without even understanding what's going on with us or maybe paying attention. So, energy leakages refers to the unconscious ways you drain your emotional, mental, and even physical energy without realizing it. We are not aware, right? Most of the time, in our connection, our interaction with others or with a specific situation, we do go through this unconsciously without even realizing what we are doing. Sometimes maybe the realization will come later, but late, not all the time. But most of the time, we are moving unconsciously. It's like a habit. It's not always about doing too much, it's often about where your energy is going without intention. So if we have that kind of realization and awareness again, where am I putting my energy? What am I guiding my energy? What am I doing with my energy? This is something also will give you a lot of understanding if you pay attention that you're not just wasting your energy and you're not doing nothing good about it. So, in simple terms, energy leakage is anything that pulls you out of your center and leaves you feeling tired. Yes, I know most of the time, most of us, we feel that way. Overwhelmed as well, and disconnected from yourself. You feel like foggy, uh, just not you. So, everyday examples I'm going to give here for energy leakages, those are like a common example, maybe by interacting with people. So, if you're overgiving, over explaining yourself specifically, or feeling responsible for others, and this is something lots of us do. Emotions, um, also giving the emotions without noticing. So staying available when you really need space. So by overgiving in any way, special giver giving for people, we do lose energy and we do feel tired. Now, doesn't mean we're not supposed to give. No, I will always encourage. And by myself, I'm a big giver. Giving, it is very a blessing things to do. It's very beautiful energy. It's like a give and receive, right? But over giving and tiring yourself with no understanding or not realizing what you are doing, like unconsciously, just to let people use you in a way. This is something it is not good to do. Also, for me to feel I need again to explain myself all the time. This is something very tiring, over tiring, and it is really draining. You drain your energy. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to talk that way. You are who you are, right? Also, there is some people, as I know I mentioned, for some reason they feel they're responsible for the whole entire world. And that's a huge drainage, huge leakage for your energy. No, by end of the day, you are only responsible for your own self. If you can help, if you like to help, this is something is so beautiful cause, but you are not responsible for no one's feeling, for nobody but yourself first. Is as we say, how can you help someone if you cannot help yourself in the first place, right? Second, emotions. So we this is something, it's a big part, by the way. I notice emotionally we are not responsible most of the time, especially about our own emotion. Forget about others for this moment. um, we'd go through a lot of negative energy that we do create unconsciously, and we hold on those emotions, and we go through without even realizing what we are doing to ourselves and how we are draining our own energy. So holding on to resentment, suppressing feelings also, or carrying emotional weight that isn't yours also. This is something related when you connect with others, maybe, and you take over their energy, their own pain, their own problem, and you take it in within you, and you start acting as it's your own problem. So, on top of the way you're feeling, or maybe sometimes, as we are all do, we have some kind of negative emotions that we go through, and we hold. Also, carrying that weight of others' emotion, this is something very tiring. And we need to start have the understanding and recognize if this is it my own emotion, or this is example my friend emotion. Is this is my problem that I'm feeling in here, or this is my friend as an example problem. So this kind of understanding will be very good if we will be start recognizing our emotions and how we are feeling. That's something will help us a lot also. Also, overthinking is something that we do. It takes away our energy. When a person will overthink, keep overthinking, and make a big deal of nothing. So replaying conversations in the mind is the worst thing, by the way. You keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. Also, when you let the fear takes over and you imagine worst case scenarios that it might happen. So how about if we, instead of imagining the worst case scenarios for anything that you go through, maybe we can switch that to imagine the best case scenario that it can happen to us. Or maybe trying to control outcomes mentally. So, okay, sometimes, or most of the time, maybe I should say, we do try to control outcomes mentally that is not there, maybe, or it's not, we're not supposed to do it that way, right? So we do tire our thinking, our mental health, by overthinking and over control the outcomes and keep thinking over and over about that specific thing and give those outcomes while there is nothing on reality it's happening yet. Also, guilt. I found guilt is a big issue for leakage, energy leakage. When we don't have boundaries in our life, feeling bad for setting boundaries. Yes, there is some people that way. They're very over nice and they're very sweet, but they are not capable to have those boundaries in their life, and they feel guilty to have boundaries with others. Feeling responsible for things that are not truly yours to carry. Also, this issue, it is will lead to the energy leakage for us. So please pay attention to those examples. So these patterns may feel normal for you, but they quietly drain your energy over time because this is not one thing happen. This is like not one time. This is something you live within. So it happens over and over and over. And this kind of draining energy, it continues to a point you will end up with an empty bucket. You know what I mean? No more, nothing in there left for you. Now, again, common ways energy leaks happen. So this is another way to, I'm trying here to make sure that you guys understand because most of the time, as I mentioned, we don't pay attention that we are going through this kind of energy, draining energy, and we are just going on. So attachment to outcomes, as I mentioned, trying to control things that are not within your control. This is where surrendering comes very, very, very beneficial. If we switch that kind of attachment to outcomes and we just surrender to the thing and let the energy, let the universe take its own term, this is something will help us a lot in holding in our energy and not allowing the leak to happen. As I mentioned, lack of boundaries, allowing others to overstep your. This is in a different way than the one before I mentioned. A lot of people, they do allow others to overstep on them, on their time or space or emotional capacity, and they cannot put those boundaries. And this is where we are not happy, but we're not capable even to mention or to address that. Overthinking and mental loops keep going back and back and back. Conversation. Guys, please pay attention. This is something I want to like a little bit go deeper into it. Most of the time I notice this, we do over talk to ourselves about the same subject. And that's what's lead us to become more worries about that specific subject while most of the time there is no need to be worried. And this is how we tap into negative energy in a way, and we create some kind of fear situation for that specific subject that we are thinking of without realizing that by us overthinking we are creating that pattern of fears towards the subject. And this is what we are manifesting, by the way, without realizing as well. So we are manifesting that kind of worry and fears instead of surrendering and let the energy take its turn and let things happen the way it should happen. So, also people pleasing. This is something I have not mentioned it yet. So, people pleasers, people who says yes, okay, when you mean no, happens a lot. And when we prioritizing others at our own expenses, our own expense. So this is something also I would like you guys to pay attention to. This is what we call being over nice. No, this is a pleaser. This is a people pleaser. And this is honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. This particular thing also, it is related to specific traumas that the person will be lived in his past life, like this life, but when he was maybe a child or a teenager, whatever. So it's a scene that he did live, and that kind of scene created that kind of specific trauma for them, and they become a people pleaser. They cannot stand up and say no. Okay? Unspoken emotions. When a person is not able to speak its own emotions, suppressing anger. So instead of expressing themselves, they will become anger, right? Or sadness, or maybe when I feel sad, I am not capable to stand up and say, okay, I don't like this. I am sad. Can I say I'm sad? I'm sad. I'm angry. It's okay to stand up and say, I'm angry. It's okay to express your emotion. It is okay to express the way we feel at this moment instead of express, like suppressing them and just pressing them all the way down and let them live there in the darkness side in us and not be able to stand up and say the way we feel. This is something also, it's very drainage for us. So, how does it feel in the body and mind? So, that kind of drainage or leakage of energy, when it comes to the mind and body, there's constant fatigue, even without doing much. So, the person will feel a lot of acheness in their body, believe it or not. That kind of drainage of energy, it might manifest in maybe muscle tighten, itching, pain that is not, there's no reason for it, and there is it's just there. So this is how it will be manifest in our physical body, and you're tired, feeling scattered or unfocused. So when in the mind, it's not focused, and you feel that it's not you most of the time. When you feel it's not you, you feel foggy. This is because you're very overdrained and emotional heaviness or irritability. So you feel very heavy around, especially to be honest, around the chest area. This is where's the heart chakra. And you feel a lot of heaviness and you are not aware, you don't know why. But you feel that kind of feeling, but you have no answer for that. Disconnection from intuition or clarity. So when you feel that you are very disconnected from your own high self and you are, as I mentioned, very foggy, you don't have any clarity. This is really, guys, very important sign to watch yourself because those are true things and it does happen on daily basis for people. So energy leakage is not a flow, all right? It's really not a flow. The energy leakage, it's a signal. So your body, your mind, your soul, your emotion will gonna give you those signals like, hello, wake up, there is something wrong going on in here, and I want you to pay attention. Maybe you can do the change, right? And those signals that your energy is asking for, it's really to have awareness, to put boundaries and realignment. How easy is that, right? So, why awareness alone already shifts your energy? Now, when it comes to claim your own power, I will always repeat and I'll always say awareness, awareness, awareness. By becoming aware of the thing, this is a huge step for change. By starting thinking and questioning, it's a huge step for our change. So this is the most important part of this teaching. As I said, it is awareness itself is powerful. So the moment you notice where your energy is going, you are no longer fully unconscious in that pattern. So in a way, become aware, it really will break that pattern for you, right? So awareness creates a space between you and the pattern. By knowing the thing, you already solved half of the problem, right? Interrupts automatic reaction. So the awareness will interrupt that kind of automatic reaction that you have been doing maybe for years and years. By you noticing and realizing, you're stopping that automatic pattern and brings you back into the present moment. And this is the most important things for us is really to live in this moment. So not to be in the future because the future is unknown, and not to tap into the past because the past, there's a reason we say past, right? That means does not exist anymore. And yes, I do understand. Most of us, we come from a very painful past, right? But I want to tell you guys, um, that pain that you lived in the past, it is part of you who you are today. But who you are today, it is not you in the past. So I want you to think about what I'm saying here. Again, the past that you lived, it's part of you who you are today. But today, who you are, it is not the past. And when you start thinking and have awareness about what I'm saying here in this sentence, you will start recognizing and realizing how you can start coming out of your past and tap more maybe and live more into the moment. And this is gently also the awareness will return you to your own choices. So you don't have to fix everything immediately, also. This is, by the way, it's very wrong approach. Most people, because we're human with no patience, and because we lack of patience and we just want the change to happen immediately, forgetting honestly that's our journey. It's not only for one life even, right? And it's not all the past that you lived in this life. So we are a soul, we reincarnation, right? We are within the reincarnation loop, means lives after lives after lives that we live. So when person come and they want the fix to happen for their life in very short period of time on one day, example, this is something is not good, because fix takes time. And the reason is this: energy takes time, energy move. And we're moving, if we're going to be like aligned with the energy, the universe energy, and we want to work with that, we need to move on the same pace as the energy is moving, right? Not on our own pace, the universe energy base, okay? And that takes time sometimes. It's not in your hand to decide in a way. So you don't have to force the change. Change will happen when this needs to be happen and when you are ready to make that change. So simply seeing clearly begins the shift, because you can't continue to leak energy in the same way. Once you are fully aware of it, you cannot stop it no matter what. Okay? So let's have some reflection. So let's close our eyes for one moment, please. And I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to tap into yourself and I want you to see if you will be able to have the answer. So I want you to ask all of you yourself. And I want you first to take that deep breath in and ask yourself, where has my energy been going lately? And is it nurturing me or draining me? So take a moment. So, awareness is the first act of reclaiming your energy. What you can see, you can shift, right? And where your attention goes, your energy flows, and it's never the opposite. This is also, people make mistakes with this most of the time. They don't realize that where they focus at, this is where they are sending their energy. Where their intention is, this is where they're sending their energy, and it's never the opposite. So, where your attention goes, your energy flows, and where your energy leaks, your power weakens. Ding, ding, ding. I hope you guys got that part. Now, noticing when you give your power away, how we going to notice that, right? Reclaiming your power begin with the one essential skill. And this is something I'm going to keep repeating the awareness and recognizing your patterns in real life. Number one, when you recognize your patterns in real life, that most of the time giving your power away is not a conscious choice. This is something, it's a learned pattern. It's in your subconscious that repeats automatically. This is a habit you have been doing for a long time. Maybe comes from specific, maybe learning you learned, the way you were raised, a culture, habits, society influence, you know? So this is, it's not you, okay? So this is a learned pattern, and I want you guys please to pay attention to this. Recognizing your patterns, the patterns that you're going through, it is learned pattern, and it's not something you. You don't wake up and decide to feel drained, overwhelmed, or disconnected, right? It happens because your mind and body are following familiar emotional habits. Pattern recognition is the moment you pause and ask yourself, of course, is this truly aligned with me? Or is this a pattern I've been repeating most of the time the answer will be yes, it's a pattern you have been repeating over and over and over as it's in a habit. How to notice when you're giving your power away? You're likely giving your power away when you feel pulled to act out of obligation instead of truth. Okay? So, you guys, it's very important to pay attention for that because this is something I found too. Most people, they are obligated to do things while they really don't want to do, and they're not able to say no. They feel obligated. There's something I hear a lot because I feel obligated, and that is not true. You ignore your inner voice to avoid discomfort or conflict. This is something also we do avoid. We avoid our inner voice because we don't want to hear the truth, because that truth, it might not be pleasant for us, and we don't want to hear. Human nature, we don't like pain. We run away from pain, while pain really purify us. Pain, it's important in our life. It's part of our journey. It's like this kind of example. You gotta go through the fire in order to purify, and you become a new, right? It's the same as the phoenix. The phoenix will die and then will reborn from its own ashes. So this is how we are as well as a human. But unfortunately, most of the time, if it's not all the time, we run away from the truth. We don't want to face it. We don't want to feel the pain. And prioritize others' needs while abandoning your own. That's also a problem I found. A lot of us, some people, they do that too. They will serve and help others while they will ignore their own need. And this is not right, though. Absolutely. And the reason is this, because it's the same way others has that soul that God grant them with, and they gave them their life. It God granted you with this soul and this temple, your body, and you're responsible for it too. And you need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your own body, your own soul, as this is your own responsibility. So abandoning your own needs, your own thing, and just look for others, it's not right. It's unbalanced, actually. So you got to balance the two sides. It often feels like you're reacting instead of consciously choosing, and this is true. So repeating those kind of what I mentioned here, the obligation, ignoring your inner voice, and you're looking for other needs, it's repetitive. It's reaction, repetitive reaction. It's really not consciously choices, because if you're going to tap into your own inner voice, right? And you will ask yourself for 1 second, you might not do most of the things that you're doing in your life at this moment. Now, there's three keys and three key signs actually to watch for. That's when we're giving our power. The first one, the emotional exhaustion. So you feel drained after interaction or just decisions. And this is something happens most of the time, especially when we interact with specific people, we feel tired. I am personally sometimes, when I go to specific places and there's a lot of heavy energy and there's a lot of negativity, I cannot stand after I come back home. I have to take a nap. I need to recharge. So this is a huge sign for me that where emotionally I'm very exhausted, right? So even small ones, so those kind of decisions, even they are small ones or those small interaction one-on-one, sometimes it will be very overwhelming for you. This is a sign that your energy is being overextended or misdirected. Okay. So instead of feeling nourished or neutral, you feel tired, heavy, emotionally depleted. Your body is signaling that something is about off alignment, right? It's out of alignment. So if you guys pay attention with when you go somewhere, you interact with someone, if you are at work and you're working with someone, but please do not overdo it, because I know some people, they overdo it. Just let things be naturally. But it's nice and it's good to watch yourself. If you're interacting with this specific person, as an example, how you are interacting, how you are feeling, what's coming to your thoughts, how your body is feeling, how your body is reacting. So it's good to watch ourselves. Second, mental overactivity. This is something I mentioned also. Your mind doesn't slow down. Anyway, our mind never sleep, as you know all. The body needs to rest, the mind never needs to rest. The mind, it's on duty 24 hours. So, for that, you may notice sometimes the overthinking conversation. We do that most of the time. Replaying scenarios. We do that all the time. Trying to control outcomes mentally. This is something we do all the time. This happens when you are disconnected from trust and trying to regain control through thoughts. So, please pay attention to this. This happens when you are disconnected from trust and trying to regain control through thoughts. Okay? So the mind becomes loud when your inner authority is not being honored. So this is something very known, even in the spiritual perspective. When the mind gets bigger, that's what we say in a way, the soul gets smaller. And that means when the ego expand, the soul shrink. While in reality, the truth and the way it has to be happen, the ego was created to serve the soul and never for the soul to serve the ego. So please pay attention. The bigger your ego become and the mind expand, the more shrink, for the soul will happen. And we want it to be the opposite, absolutely. Okay? Now, guilt-based decisions. This is something we all go through when we say yes forcefully, when you want to say no, but the no does not come out of your mouth, and the yes will come out automatically, and then you will feel so bad about, like, why did I say that? Not because it feels right, but because you feel guilty, responsible, afraid of disappointing others. And it goes back to what? People pleaser, okay? So, this is one of the clearest signs you are giving your power away. So easy, guys. Just step into those three, and you will find yourself if you are really, giving away your power or not. So, when guilt leads, your truth gets silenced again. When the ego, because guilt, it's ego reaction. When the guilt leads, your truth gets silenced. The truth comes from the soul, right? From the inner soul. So the inner truth. So the inner truth gets silenced. So you guys, if you notice, in a way, most of the, I would say all the negative actions, all the negative energy, let's put it that way, all the negative energies will be related to the ego in a way. And all the positive energy or actions maybe related to our inner self, to the soul. This is like as simple as I can explain. Now, returning your energy back to you, how can we return the energy back to us? Oh, okay. So, how energy actually returns when your awareness changes? When you're unconscious in a pattern, overgiving, overthinking, or people pleasing, your energy is continuously flowing outward, right? So, the moment you notice, if we want to switch those, the negative pattern, I am overextending myself, maybe. I am trying to control this, maybe. I'm abandoning my truth here, maybe. So the moment you notice those true things, you interrupt the automatic pattern again. And in that interruption, your energy starts to come back to you. Again, guys, if you notice, awareness is the key. There's nothing else. For us to reclaim our power back, to be honest, awareness, to be aware about it. And in that interruption, as I said, your energy starts to come back to you. Not because the situation changed, no, but because you are no longer feeding it in the same way, right? So the situations as it is not changing. You are the one who's changing. You're changing the action. Awareness doesn't just absorb the pattern, it begins to dissolve it. So most people believe they need to fix, control, or change what's happening around them to feel better. But in reality, your energy begins to restore the moment your awareness shifts. Awareness, awareness, awareness. Now, introduction to boundaries. So, there is some kind of boundaries if we will start working with. This is something will give us a lot of like good results internally and not just external. So the change has to happen internal first before it happens external. So most people think boundaries are only about saying no to others. No, this is not true. But true boundaries began honestly internally. So not by saying no to others, that means you have boundaries. The boundaries usually starts between you and you. Putting the boundaries, claim those boundaries. Say it to yourself what you want to put as boundaries. Those boundaries has to go on you, like, and on others. So your internal boundaries are the way you relate to what those boundaries kind of relate to your thoughts, of course, your emotion and your reactions. So if I control in a way my thoughts, and I control in a way my emotions, the way I feel, and I control in a way the way I react, that's it. I have the full control about my boundaries. This is my boundary. This is the real boundaries, right? So they sound like, as an example, I don't need to follow every thought. I can feel this without losing myself in it. I choose not to carry what isn't mine. So this is where real power returns. Okay? When you stop allowing your inner world to run unconsciously. The moment you take over your inner world and you become conscious about it and aware, your external boundaries become easier, right? And the reason is this because we fix the inside and we change the inside, and the outside fix its own self automatically. This is something a lot they don't notice this, by the way, and they try to go out in order for change and they fail all the time. The reason is this: never try to change their own thoughts, emotions, and reactions. So change starts from inside and never outside. Simple reframes for immediate change. If you want to do something very like I gave you here some example, like for like instant maybe change, like simple. Shifting your energy doesn't require a long process. Sometimes it begins with a simple reframe. Here are some. So instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Which is, this is something we do ask ourselves unconsciously most of the time, right? Maybe you can say instead, I need to fix this now, in the now. So you take yourself to the awareness of this moment. Okay? So never say, why this is happening to me? Maybe we need to say, I need to fix this now. I can pause and choose a different response, right? By saying, I need to fix this now. This is what I'm doing. And instead of saying, maybe I feel drained, as an example, where did my energy go? And can I bring it back? So never ask, I feel drained, or say that to myself. Maybe I can ask myself this way: where did my energy go? Hello, where's my energy? And can I bring it back to me? Of course you can, if you want to. So these small shifts it does move you from reaction to awareness. So this is what we need to do. We need to move from reaction that we take all the time on ourselves, because when things happen in our life, we we just sit in those reactions, right? So they are just reactions that we just surround with. So we try with having the energy back, claiming our energy, power. We need to move from reaction to awareness, and from awareness to choice. So here's the change. We're going to do the small shift. The small shift will happen when we go from staying and tapping into that reaction we get all the time to become aware, and then from the awareness to make choices. Okay? So energy returns when you stop over identifying with every thought, you stop reacting to old patterns, you start choosing from awareness. Now, to anchor this shift, how can we focus on integrating those shifts so they don't stay as ideas, as most of the time they are only an idea, but become, and to make them become something they can live in our life, like make to bring them to life, right? So reflection, what shifted in you? If we start doing some reflection, this is a very good way for us to start doing the change. So let's take a pause, all of us at this moment, and gently turn inward and close your eyes. And let's reflect on what felt different during this session for you. Did something become clearer, maybe? Did you notice a pattern you weren't aware of before? Do you feel any shift in your body, emotions, or thoughts? The goal is to help you recognize your own internal movement, even it feels subtle. Because even small awareness, it's a real shift. So again, this is not about analyzing. And that's where we go most of our time. We analyze things in our life. We need to absorb. We need to be the absorber for our life. We need to notice, not to analyze. Two, how to bring this into daily life. Transformation doesn't happen in this session here only. It happens in the small everyday moments for you guys. How can bring that into our day life? Pausing before reaction, maybe. If you take a moment before you take any action that you feel that this action, it might be a little bit overwhelmed for you. So maybe before you react on that, you take a pause, you take a moment, and you connect with yourself maybe first. Noticing when energy starts to leak. Also being aware when you start feeling overwhelmed, you start feeling heavy, you start feeling like your body maybe start talking to you and give you some kind of signals. This is where you need to start. You know, the thing, choosing differently in real time. Maybe you guys not realizing that we do have choices in life, so we don't have to go with the yes, 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 or no, no, no. We can do choices in our life. So if I change the choice and choose something goes properly with me. Maybe this is something will make me happy and make me feel good within my own inner power. Honoring your internal boundaries. When we put those boundaries, it is very important for us actually to not break those boundaries. Yet we can change them, by the way. Yes, you can have a new boundaries, but once you have the boundaries and you're working with those boundaries, make sure that you're not going to break those boundaries. Do not break those boundaries between you and you, because the moment you do that, you're automatically breaking those boundaries with everyone else. So it's not about being perfect. This is not the case. It's about becoming more conscious moment by moment. Okay? Three, simple daily practice. The awareness pause. Let's do this. We're going to pause for maybe for 1 to 2 minutes, few times during the day. So maybe you can pause, take some time for 1 to 2 minutes during the day, and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Talking to the self, guys, I found is the best way um, to nourish that kind of connection between you and your high self. It's really to connect. Now, I'm not talking about channeling outside you. I'm talking about connecting with your inner self here. So, taking the time, maybe a minute or 2 minutes a day, a couple of times a day, you pause and you try to connect with your soul and body. Maybe ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? This is something very good in order to nourish and establish that kind of relationship with yourself. Maybe you can ask, where is my energy going at this moment? Maybe you can follow the pattern for your energy, and this is something nice to do. Is this aligned with how I want to feel? That's a good question too to ask yourself. Or this is something is not aligning with my purpose, the one I have. Okay? Then maybe you can take a slow breath. You can soften your body, make one small shift. If something will come up to you while you're doing this kind of simple practice, make that small shift. A thought, maybe, a response, maybe, or a boundary. Maybe you can change one boundary. Maybe you can change one thought. So this keeps you connected to your energy throughout the day instead of disconnect from yourself. This is a very powerful practice, by the way, even it looks so simple, and it is very simple. And this is what I always say as well. It is not hard to come back to the truth who you are. It is not hard to connect with yourself. It's a matter of giving the time and dedicate yourself to yourself and work on yourself. But again, as a human nature, we don't like that. We've been taught how to be lazy, especially when it comes to ourselves. Very lazy. We just want that one magic and we want the change to happen without even working on nothing. And that's something will never happen, by the way, just to let you know. Change require patience, dedications, surrendering, and time. Now, simple tools to protect your emotional and mental space. So, protecting your space isn't about shutting the world out. Absolutely not. It's about staying rooted in yourself while engaging with it. So, I wanted to give you those kind of example to help you how to maybe try to protect your emotional and mental space. You know, so they're very nice, by the way. I like those kind of things. So, number one, pause before response. So maybe if we take a moment before reacting, speaking, or agreeing, to pause. If you have the time, you can ask yourself, do I really want to respond right now? Is this aligned with me again? And ask yourself, is this something you want to engage with? Or you just prefer not to engage? So this creates a space between trigger and reaction, which is where your power lives. This, I'm not sure if we are aware of that. We are nothing but a mirror for each other. And as an energy, we reflect and we mirror each other. There's a lot of triggers comes up sometimes in our connection with others, even with ourselves, by the way. And that kind of trigger, it's really related to some kind of traumas that we have lived in our, like, like a young age or something. Or sometimes those kind of trauma also, believe it or not, will be related to your previous lives, like, from different lives. So maybe if you take a moment and connect with yourself, you will avoid a lot of that kind of, conflict. Thoughts awareness, not every thought is true. So again, awareness, recognizing. You don't have to believe everything you think. Most of the thoughts that it comes to your mind, it is not you. It is not you. It's what you have been taught, you have been learned, you have been told, and from society, from your the way you were raised, from school, from everything. It's really not your thoughts. So when a heavy or repetitive thoughts appears, you need to notice it. Name it, give it a name. It's always good to give it a name. This is a worry thought. Am I feeling worry? Am I feeling concerned? Am I feeling guilty? Just give it a name. When you give the thought a name, you really recognize that thought on a deeper level. Okay? Let it pass without engaging. So once So here's how we do this, the awareness, the thought awareness. You recognize it, you give it a name, and you let it go. You don't you don't connect with it. You just let it go. Don't give it attention. This protects you. This protects your mental energy from over identification. Emotional check in. A few times a day, it's nice and gentle if you ask yourself, will be gently. Ask yourself in a gentle way. What am I feeling right now? This is a very nice way, by the way, again, to connect with your own power. Is this mine or did I absorb it? See, this is a good way. And especially, this is a good way to ask if you are talking to someone and you feel suddenly a change in your emotions. Maybe you got sad suddenly from nowhere while you were happy a moment again. So it's good to tap into your inner self and you ask yourself, is my feeling or this is example Joe feeling? Okay. This helps you separate your emotions from others' energy. Four, micro boundaries, small moment to moment boundaries that protects your energy. Example, not answering immediately. Take a hint, take a moment before you answer, especially when there is a lot of negative engagement in that moment, like in the conversation. And maybe saying, let me get back to you. That's a good way to keep on your emotion and mental space. Do not engage in the negative right away. Maybe you can say, let me get back to you. I don't have answer now. And choosing silence instead of over explaining. Sometimes just be silent. By being silent, you're really protecting your space. So boundaries don't have to be big, they need to be consistent. Okay? Now, energy reset breath. So if we take a 30 to 60 seconds during the day, and when you feel maybe overwhelmed, like way overwhelmed, something made you overwhelmed, maybe you can take that 60 seconds. You can inhale slowly through your nose, exhale longer than you inhale, and relax your shoulders and jaw. This calms your nerve system and brings you back to center. You can repeat this as much as you need, and you can tap into numbers. Maybe you can inhale slowly about 6 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, inhale 6 seconds, hold 4 seconds, and exhale 8 seconds. So this is, it will do automatically, it will do what we say, uh, like recharge for your nerve system. Limit unnecessary input. Your mental space is affected by what you consume. So the more you stuff your mind with, the more you have things to deal with, right? So be mindful of social media overload. Do not interact with those social media overload. Be cautious about it. Be conscious about it. See, pick and choose what do you want to interact with and what you need to avoid, because not everything you see is positive, right? Right? Negative conversations. Stay away from negative conversation. As I said before, do not engage. Either you choose to be silent or just walk away maybe. Constant noise of stimulation. So the constant noise or stimulation. Um, this is also something you need to pay attention. The constant noise we live around. It is something really we need to do something about it. And that's by sitting with ourselves and take a moment and be alone. This is something will reset that kind of noises that we are surrounded with. By the way, protect your space by choosing what you allow in. Right now, the not mine practice. When you feel emotionally overwhelmed around others, silently say, this is not mine to carry. So here I'm going to teach you something. So when a person is very negative and he's talking, and you're absorbing all this negative, it is good to put the boundaries at that moment in that second. And maybe you can say, this is not my emotion. This is not my journey. This is not my fight. This is example Gloria journey. It's a Gloria fight. It's Gloria emotion. For that, I do ask this energy to leave my surrounding at this moment, right? Put boundaries, recognize what's yours, what's not, and talk. By the way, we can talk to energy, guys. Energy listens, okay? This helps you release emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. And yes, energy has its own consciousness, right? So of course it listens. It does, act and react as well. So return to self-anchor. Create a simple internal reminder. So when you're overwhelmed in some specific situation, it is good to remind yourself how you come back to yourself. You come back to yourself. Come back to yourself. Stay with your energy. So say it to yourself. It's nothing wrong about that. Remind yourself you need to stay in your own energy. You need to come back to your own self. There's no one is going to remind you, by the way. The best person to remind you is you. You remind you, and you take back your own power because no one is going to give you that power, right? So repeat it when you feel pulled outward or scattered, right? This is good. Now, last word. Ta-da! We're done. Empowering and direct. Reclaiming your power means recognizing that no one else holds authority over your worth, your emotions, or your path, and consciously choosing to take that authority back. Psychological perspective. Reclaiming your power means shifting from reaction to intention, taking responsibility for your thoughts, patterns, and behaviors instead of feeling controlled by them. From a feminine energy tone, as we all under the feminine, goddess, bless or blessing. Reclaiming your power means honoring your intuition, setting boundaries without guilt, and allowing yourself to fully embody your softness and your strength. And from spiritual perspective and reflective, reclaiming your power is the sacred act of remembering who you are, where before the world told you who to be. And that's truth. And choosing to live from that truth again. So you go back to who you are, the real you, who you are. Alrighty. And now I need to come out of this. We're done. All right.